I never imagined my marriage would unravel like that. Not with a blowout fight or some grand, dramatic end, but with a quiet betrayal that tore through everything I believed was solid. We had our struggles, of course, like any couple trying to keep a life together in a noisy world. But I truly believed we could weather them. I never saw the storm coming, until the signs became too loud to ignore. And by then, the damage had already settled deep into the foundation we once built. It began with a kind of distance that was hard to name at first. Subtle shifts, a colder tone in her voice. Her touch no longer lingered. Her eyes didn't meet mine the way they used to. There was a hollow space in her stare, as if she were always someplace else. I convinced myself it was just stress from work, long hours, back-to-back meetings, and the constant buzzing of her phone. I chalked it up to life being overwhelming. I told myself it was temporary. Love had lulls, didn't it? But then the lies began to slip through the cracks. Small ones at first. So easy to overlook. She said she was meeting friends for dinner. But when I casually mentioned it to one of them later, they told me they hadn't seen her in weeks. She clung to her phone like it was a secret. Started taking it everywhere, even into the bathroom. A new password appeared, one I was never told. I knew something was off, but I didn't want to believe it. We had nearly a decade together. Years of laughter, milestones, a home filled with memories. That kind of bond doesn't break easily, unless someone decides to let it. I asked her, gently at first, "Are you happy?" She smiled faintly and said she was just tired. I asked her if she still loved me. She hesitated, gave that same weak smile, and whispered, "Of course." But I knew. Something in her eyes betrayed her. She wasn't with me anymore. Not fully. Still, I didn't front her. Not then. I needed to be sure. So I did something I never thought I was capable of. I followed her. One evening, she told me she had a coworker's birthday dinner across town. I waited 10 minutes after she left, then got in my car and followed at a distance. She didn't go to any restaurant. She drove to a modest hotel tucked into a quiet corner of the city. I parked out of sight and waited. She stepped out of her car in a dress I hadn't seen in months, looking effortlessly beautiful, like she used to for me. She walked into the hotel lobby, and 5 minutes later, a man arrived. They embraced, and then they kissed, openly, without hesitation. They disappeared into the elevator together. That moment branded itself into my memory. It didn't come with rage. It came with a cold, aching numbness. I drove home on autopilot, my hands trembling on the steering wheel. I sat in the living room in silence, staring at nothing for hours. My world hadn't just shifted. It had split open. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, she walked through the door like nothing had changed. She even kissed me on the cheek and asked how my night had been. I wanted to scream, to demand answers, to ask her how she could return to me with the scent on her skin. But I didn't. Not yet. For the next week, I played my role. I smiled. I ate dinner with her. I asked about her day. I complimented her cooking. I watched her laugh at the television, watched her lie with ease. All the while, I was quietly falling apart. But somewhere in that silence, a plan began to form. I didn't want revenge. I didn't want yelling or chaos. I wanted one clear moment, something quiet and final. A way to end this not with noise, but with a weight she wouldn't forget. I took a day off work. I cleaned the house, lit candles, and prepared her favorite meal. I set the table with care. Soft music filled the room, warm and inviting. It all looked picture perfect, like a memory from better years. When she walked in, she paused in the doorway, surprised. "What's all this?" she asked with a smile. "Did I forget our anniversary or something?" I shook my head. "No," I said gently. "Just felt like doing something nice." She looked touched, maybe even a little guilty. We ate together. She laughed easily, unaware of what was coming. It made me sick how effortlessly she could pretend. After dinner, I excused myself and walked into the bedroom. I returned with a small velvet box and placed it in front of her. She blinked. "What's this?" "Open it," I said. She lifted the lid and found her wedding ring inside. The same ring she had quietly stopped wearing weeks ago. She frowned and looked up. Why is my ring in here? I told you, I just took it off to clean. One, I said, interrupting her softly. Her face changed in an instant. The smile vanished. Confusion flared into fear. What do you mean? She whispered. One, I repeated, calm and unmoved. She stared at me like I'd just pulled the ground out from under her. Why did you say that? She asked, her voice cracking. She knew. She didn't ask how I knew. She didn't deny it. Tears welled in her eyes. Her lips trembled. Please, she said, I can explain. But I didn't want an explanation. I didn't need it. I had seen everything. And no amount of words could stitch the wound her actions had caused. Her voice turned sharp. You followed me, didn't you? I nodded once. You had no right to. I had every right. I said, my voice cold as steel. You lied to me again and again. I gave you chances. You chose secrets. You chose them. She looked down at the ring in the box, her hand trembling now. So that's it? I didn't answer. There was nothing left to say. She knew the answer before she asked. She stood up suddenly, rage replacing sorrow. You think you're so righteous? She snapped. Then, without warning, she hurled the ring at me. It struck my chest and bounced to the floor with a hollow, final sound. I didn't flinch. I didn't move. I simply watched as she stormed down the hall, into the bedroom, and began throwing clothes into a bag. Within minutes, she was gone. The silence that followed was thick, heavy, and absolute. I walked over, picked up the ring from where it lay, and stared at it in my hand. Something once so small and full of promise now felt meaningless. I placed it back in the box and closed the lid. That night, my phone lit up with messages from friends and family. She must have already started bending the truth, reshaping the story to suit her version. But I didn't respond. I didn't explain myself. I didn't need to. She chose to trade love for lust. She chose lies over loyalty. And I chose peace over pain. One word. That's all it took to end everything. And somehow that was enough.